I haven't posted much in the last week because my car's been off the road getting repaired. So I've been commuting using public transport, which takes me much longer to get home. But I found using buses for a week is the closest I've ever felt to being a medieval peasant. Of course, they didn't have motorised transport back then, but I'm guessing the sense of drudgery and despair that comes from waiting for a bus is similar. And when it finally turns up, then there's the fear of dying of some ghastly disease due to the unsanitary hygiene conditions. I work the early shift, so usually I clock off at 2 o'clock, jump in the Cooper S and boot it home. But whilst the car was being mended, I had to catch a bus near to where I work, take that to the bus station, then catch another bus back to near where I live. Which means I've been encountering people who I wouldn't usually come into contact with. People who use public transport every day. And some of them are, let's say, interesting. For example, I wasn't aware that it's compulsory for African women, and I don't mean people of African descent, I mean women who've just moved here from Africa. I didn't know they were required by law that the second they sit down on a bus, they have to take out their mobile phone and have the loudest conversation imaginable. Whether they're laughing or shouting, the volume's enough to splinter fucking wood. But, and this applies to everyone, if you're having an argument on your mobile phone, please put it on speaker so we can hear the other side of it. I also saw several elderly gentlemen who are followers of the religion of peace. That's the one where if you criticise it, its followers strap on suicide vests and detonate themselves in crowded areas. And the main purpose of these elderly gentlemen on the buses is apparently to stare at the other passengers until they become uncomfortable. I was subjected to something like this for around 5 minutes. And it got to the point where I had to lean over and say, "Excuse me, sir, could you fuck off?" I also saw several young mothers using public transport, and they get on the bus, they'll have at least 2 children, one of them will be in a pram or a pushchair, the other is often shoeless with snot running down its face, and at least one of the children is screaming its fucking head off, giving the African woman a run for her money. And of course, the mother's used to this, so doesn't think to silence thine spawn. And for any young women watching this, if you're thinking of getting pregnant and want to avoid using public transport, fuck a bloke who owns a car. Of course, there are also happy, pleasant, chatty people who use buses. But I'm reluctant to talk to strangers for 3 reasons. Firstly, the chances are I won't be interested in what they're talking about. Secondly, even if I am, I'll probably never see that person again. And thirdly, and most importantly, buses seem to serve as mobile asylums, and I'm a fucking nutter magnet. So I was overjoyed when my mechanic messaged me to say that the Mini is now repaired. So now, when you put oil in the engine, it remains in the engine, rather than coming out like an oil slick, similar to James Bond's Aston Martin DB5. So normal service will be resumed next week. As ever, thanks for watching.